Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dive right into a deal that could completely rewire the global tech landscape, changing where the really critical stuff that powers our world is actually made. And it all starts with this massive number, $250 billion. Yep, a quarter of a trillion. And that figure is at the absolute heart of this entire story. So what is it? Well, that's the minimum investment baked into a landmark trade agreement signed back on January 15th, 2026, between the United States and Taiwan. And the whole point of this deal is to fundamentally rewire the world's tech supply chain. Okay, so what's really going on with this $250 billion handshake? Let's break down the money, the strategy, and the global dynamics that are driving it all. But to really get why this is such a huge deal, we've first got to understand the global scramble for microchips. It is a super high-stakes race with enormous economic and, frankly, strategic implications.
I mean, these tiny chips, they're basically everything. They're not just little components, they're the lifeblood of the modern world. And for years now, the United States has been getting more and more concerned about where the most advanced ones are actually being made. And that concern leads us directly to Taiwan, which is an absolute giant in this industry. It's home to TSMC, the world's biggest contract chip maker. And its tech-driven trade surplus with the US got so big, we're talking about $74 billion in 2024, that it actually led to accusations that Taiwan was stealing the American chip industry. So all of that context is really the key to understanding this entire agreement. The core U.S. objective is crystal clear: bring the manufacturing of this critical technology back home onto American soil. But like any major deal, this is a two-way street. It's a negotiation. There are gives and gets on both sides, so let's break down exactly what that exchange looks like. So first, what is the U.S. putting on the table? Well, Washington's agreed to lower its tariffs on Taiwanese goods, dropping them from 20% down to 15%. That's a pretty big concession, and it's really designed to sweeten the whole deal. And in return for that, Taiwan makes this massive commitment. They're going to invest at least $250 billion in advanced semiconductor and AI manufacturing right inside the United States. So you can see the whole trade-off right here. The US gets that huge investment, it starts reshoring its chip supply chain, and it gets way more self-sufficient. And Taiwan, it gets lower tariffs, favorable duties down the road, and it keeps its access to the giant US market. It's really designed to be a strategic win-win. Now, this all builds towards the deal's ultimate and, let's be honest, audacious goal. Because this isn't just about a few new factories. The ambition here is on a completely different scale. And that brings us to this one, bold number 40%. So what on earth does that represent? Well, that's the Commerce Secretary himself laying it all out. The goal isn't just building a few plants. The objective is to physically relocate a massive 40% chunk of Taiwan's entire supply chain and production network onto American soil. And this right here is the end game. The administration has been very clear that this whole monumental effort is about achieving one thing: making the U.S. self-sufficient in building semiconductors. So, okay, what are the real-world consequences of a policy shift this big? How does a multi-billion-dollar agreement like this actually translate into action and change the tech landscape? Well, the wheels are already in motion. The deal was signed in January of 2026, and already the Taiwanese chip titan TSMC has bought hundreds of acres of land in Arizona, clearly laying the groundwork for future U.S. operations. You can really see the whole strategy here. It's kind of like a four-step playbook. Step 1, you incentivize your partner with lower tariffs. Step 2, you secure that massive direct investment. Step 3, you fuel even more growth with credit guarantees. And the final goal? Step 4, build U.S. self-sufficiency from the ground up. And all this brings us to the really crucial question, right? In a world that is so interconnected, is total national self-sufficiency the future of technology? This agreement really represents a potential pivot away from decades of globalization, moving toward a new model of self-reliance. It's a huge bet, and this U.S.-Taiwan deal, well, it could just be the blueprint for the future.